Welcome to the Issues of Sports. It's been a minute, but we are back. I am Evan E-Mak Makovsky, joined by Rudy Rude Dog Reyes. Rude Dog, how you been, buddy? What's new?
Lots of things. Sports is new. Griner's new. And I don't mean grinder, but Griner is new. News about her is coming along the pipe. The NFL is headed down its fairy tale AFC and NFC matchups starting tomorrow. There's a slew of games going on tomorrow. A lot of games people are going to be really paying a lot of attention to because those are the ones that are going to determine greater outcomes as we head into seeding. As we already know, that's the most important component of it all. So,
well, with you in California, don't forget many people may be first viewing or listening to this podcast tomorrow. So it could be today. So at least speak to them in present moments.
Well, they could be listening today, and hopefully you are listening. And if you're listening, like it, love it, and share it. That's just kind of what we like to do here. So thanks for taking your time and listening to us this evening or morning, rather.
Well, on this episode of the Issues of Sports, we decided we were going to discuss Brittney Griner being brought back in a prisoner swap with Russia for Viktor Bout, the Merchant of Death. And we are going to get to that. There are people on both sides. No way Griner should have been given up when they kept Marine Paul Whelan, who the U.S. couldn't get, and teacher Paul Fogel is another one. Many felt that Griner, due to her celebrity status, she's also happens to be Black and a lesbian as well. I'm just giving you all the arguments on both sides, whereas a Marine, she got freed. And I don't want to say it was over because apparently they put the Marine in a different class in Russia because he's accused of espionage, but we're going to get to that. But the Rude Dog said to me before the show, and it's a tragedy. Grant Wahl is kind of he's a writer. He's been on television. He's been on ESPN. He's written for Sports Illustrated. He wrote the story when LeBron James was a junior in high school, how the NBA was clamoring over him. LeBron tweeted about it. Well, Grant Wahl was in the press box of the Argentina-Netherlands game, and he just collapsed and died. He died and he was taken to the hospital, and 30 minutes later he was declared dead, and he's 48 years old. Rude Dog, he hovers around similar ages to both you and I, and he's covered the last 8 World Cups. He was a distinguished basketball writer, but what the issue is that his brother, okay, not just that a 48-year-old dropped dead, that's a tragedy in and of itself, and the sports world is moved, but his brother filmed a video. He said, "My name is Eric Wahl. I live in Seattle, Washington. I'm Grant Wahl's brother. I'm gay." And he put this on his Instagram account, and this was public, and it's since been made private. "I'm the reason he wore the rainbow shirt to the World Cup. My brother was healthy. He told me he received death threats. I do not believe my brother just died. I believe he was killed, and I beg for any help." So he is, and prior to the U.S. men's national team's World Cup game against Wales, Grant Wahl was initially not allowed into Ahmad bin Ali Stadium and detained for 30 minutes for wearing a shirt depicting a soccer ball surrounded by a rainbow. He was eventually let into the stadium. So this happened earlier in the World Cup, and it's out there. It's out there.
Well, it's certainly a story that people need to keep an eye on because there's a lot of potential long-term repercussions from a gentleman who is overall relatively healthy. For all intents and purposes, everything that he had covered, everything he had done with complete and utter integrity. There's so many different people kind of wondering and shaking their head and probably scratching all at the same time. What could have happened to Grant Wahl? You see, he was 48. Being a guy who's of older age, such as myself, and I'm 49. There was, clearly signs by anybody's account that there's a physical issue wrong with someone of that age, but clearly that was not to be the case. And someone just doesn't fall ill all of a sudden while sitting inside of a press box unless something didn't agree with their stomach, or maybe they come on with a migraine, but still not life threatening, to where all of a sudden he just decided to, well, die.
I mean, decided to. I don't know if
here.
I don't know if he decided to die as much as he died. And apparently he was having respiratory issues earlier in the week, that he was dealing with a cough. But what his they haven't really had a cause of death here established. And I believe what his brother is saying is that the Qatari government murdered his brother, and maybe again, this is connecting loose dots for. I can't say that it's just for that he was detained for 30 minutes for that shirt, obviously, but maybe he was deemed by the government some sort of an advocate for the LGBTQ community. I don't know. See, this is where I said to you before, in full transparency, I don't want to just get down speculation alley here, but that's where that he was killed because he was an advocate on some level for the LGBTQ community. I think that's what his brother is saying, and he's pinning it on Qatar's government.
It's quite possible to suggest that perhaps he was trying to just show his brother that he was in support of whatever decision his brother had chosen in regards to his sexuality. I don't think there was any malintent whatsoever by Grant Wahl to put the thumb up or the finger up at the Qatar government by any stretch of the imagination. It's no one. There's no way to suggest that was in fact the case. However, when you look at this in complete, I don't know, we can put some context around this, meaning that clearly the Qatar government has certain methods, and by those methods, they, it's in their country. What events happen in their country stay in their country. They may be televised, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they want people from the outside coming in trying to make any type of statement. Perhaps they believe that shirt may have represented such a threat to them in a way that they had maybe never seen before. Now, granted, I can't say that to be certain, and I'm not going to defend what had happened to poor Grant Wahl by any amount of attention being given to the situation, but I'm going to surmise it such as this on my end. There's something amidst. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to bother pondering what it is, because at that point it's not related to sports. However, the fact alone that he was sitting inside of a booth and suddenly fell ill and then ultimately died and collapsed, that is a mystery in of itself, and that has to do with sports because he was attending a sporting event.
Well, yeah, and again, we're going to move on here in a moment to Brittney Griner, but I guess they are assuring Grant Wahl's family. Ned Price, a State Department spokesman, said U.S. officials were in contact with Wahl's family and were engaged with senior Qatari officials to see that his family's wishes are fulfilled as expeditiously as possible. That to me means that they are probing if there was any sort of what's being insinuated here. Any sort of, was he murdered? Was he murdered? Let's rule out the fact that he, whether he dropped dead or whatever, if he was having respiratory issues earlier in the week, whatever it is, let's just rule out the fact, though, that he was not murdered by anybody in any sort of a plot, any sort of even if it was reactionary to him wearing that shirt. So at least, it's not like this is just some rogue. It's his brother who made that video. So this isn't some rogue like conspiracy theory. It's being probed by the United States government as we speak.
Well, and it should all in the name of fairness and fact finding, and hopefully come up with some type of solution.
Well, moving on, prior to this tragedy, which is what Grant Wahl passing is, make no mistake, it's a tragedy. Brittney Griner, the WNBA Olympic basketball star, returned to the U.S. on Friday after being imprisoned in Russia for nearly 10 months following her February arrest for bringing cannabis oil into the country. She was initially sentenced to 9 years in prison, but was released part of a prisoner exchange for notorious arms dealer Viktor Bout, who had been in U.S. custody. It took months to negotiate. Here's where I come down on this. Okay, I'm happy Brittney Griner's on her way back, and there's a lot of moving parts here. Even a different kind of, many people think she got preferential treatment over Paul Whelan, even though there are reports against, not against, that the U.S. Marine, that Russia considers it a higher level crime, espionage, even though the U.S. is saying that the charges against Whelan are trumped up. They want Whelan back, but many people feel that Griner, and I think we gave up an arms dealer, okay, one of the number one criminal that we have from Russia, who's sentenced to 25 years, who is supposedly, supplying Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, and has, been in plots to kill Americans. And I read an interesting column. I want to say it was Bill Plaschke of the LA Times. He's like, it's not about what we had to give up. It's like we had to return an American home. So you're supposed to have a take a stand, take one side. I don't think Griner deserves precedence. I don't think I do think there is something to the fact that, okay, she's Black, she's gay, and the issue two people have is she didn't stand or want to stand for the national anthem. She's had domestic violence charges against her. She hasn't always backed her country, but her country now has really backed her. Listen, I'm happy. Here's the deal. The major issue is that Brittney Griner, whether you like it or not, cannabis oil is, she knew what she was doing, but she's saying it's accidentally packed. It's not the same as flying with cannabis oil in the United States, and what the punishment is going to be in Russia, just like in Singapore. So there is, I do understand the sentiment out there saying, you knew what you were playing with. Now you got to deal with the consequences, because it's not like, the wool was pulled over your eyes. So I actually think it's a complicated issue. I'm glad she's back, because I don't think she's a threat to society, and I don't think she belongs in jail. But there are many different layers to this, and I do think if she wasn't a celebrity, she'd probably be forgotten.
Yeah, she probably would have. And you mentioned Whelan, and the first thought that came to my head is, does espionage carry a higher weight in association
Yes,
with
is what
what the
saying.
Russian government is
Yes.
trying to? And you know what? That's correct. That's very accurate. That's more important than somebody who's carrying cannabis oil. Now, I'm not minimizing the fact that she was carrying it. I'm not minimizing the fact that her punishment, what was given, but the punishment given did not suit the cannabis oil that she was carrying. Meaning yes, she broke the law. Yes, granted, you're going into another country,
and those laws may be ridiculous, but you know them going in. Even though those laws may be ridiculous, you know them going in, and trust me, I think they're ridiculous. I completely
agree with you, and you can't take that as some type of advantage because you're Brittney Griner. It doesn't matter.
She played over there for 4 years. It's not like she doesn't know, and
she knew what she had, but whether or not she knew the clevity of the situation by holding on to that cannabis oil, trying to get it out of Russia, understanding that there are international laws that prohibit anyone, I don't care if you're a celebrity or if you're a fictitious elf character, you should not be possessing this on your person, or in your luggage, or on your carry-on, or with a buddy, or in your dog's collar holding bones or napkins. Look, the bottom line is that Brittney Griner knew exactly what she was doing. She wasn't trying to extort pounds of cannabis oil. It wasn't as if there was a big, a drug letting out where her entire case was packed with cocaine. This is just cannabis oil. Now, again, I'm not minimizing the fact that I'm not going to give her a free pass on this because she knew what she was doing. She knew that by holding on to this and if someone's going to find it, and in lieu of finding it, that there could be serious repercussions from a law enforcement standpoint that could put her in jail to some extent. Now, whether or not she played her entertainment factor that she was an ex-NBA, a WNBA player, saying,
Not
well,
X.
I'm going to get out of it, and I'm going to be on easy street and X, Y, and Z and ABC. That bubble was bursted, Evan. It was bursted.
Yeah, but do you think if you went to right now, first of all, the U.S., you can't fly to Moscow. I believe you have to go through Istanbul or Dubai, where you can see that's where the trade happened in Dubai, where Bout walked by Griner. But do you think if you got busted and you had to deal with Russian laws for the same exact thing as Brittney Griner, do you think you're not the celebrity that Brittney Griner is? You didn't, didn't lead the country in scoring at Baylor. You didn't, whether you like it or not, you're not a WNBA star. You're not a celebrity. I mean, you're with it. I don't mean that you have 10,000 Twitter followers. Don't let me offend you.
But I don't think that's going to let me off real easy.
I don't think they're going to care about that in Russia at all either, actually, if you want the truth.
No.
But what I'm saying is if you got busted for it, do you think that I think you're going to serve your unfair sentence? I don't think that there's nobody because
absolutely.
She's a celebrity that she got, it got publicity.
The U.S. got involved because she was a celebrity. First and foremost, let's just call it what it is because that's what it is.
They wouldn't even know. With the U.S., yes, maybe the U.S. embassy in Russia would know if you were arrested. If an American was arrested at the airport they would probably. But do you think if you?
It's all for naught.
Nobody, your friends would know that you're in Russia, and they would probably be working with. But you would not have. People tweeting around, celebrities tweeting, NBA players tweet. I'm just saying that's what I think rubs people the wrong way when they see her come back and not Whelan. Like, is it Jason Whitlock who stirs the pot? And I didn't even know what he was on. I guess he's got some show Fearless. I guess I don't know if he's on his own, but he's got it. And he's like, we brought home a pot smoking basketball player over a Marine. I mean, and I don't think it's like that because apparently Russia was not budging with Whelan like they were according to reports, if you believe that. But I think there's validity all over the place. I don't think Brittney Griner's a threat to society. I don't need to think she needs to serve, 9 months. And that's still scary that what she already went through going to a penal colony in Russia, like 9 months and not knowing if you're getting out and you're sentenced for 9 years. I mean, she has had the what scared out of her, I would think, no matter if she's a celebrity or not.
Well, she had spent almost 300 days in incarceration.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot.
That is an extreme amount of days. 300 days. Not 30 days. 300 days. And I'm not going to say that Whelan doesn't deserve an opportunity to come home because clearly that ship is still out in the ocean. The ship has not sailed. The possibilities of getting him back would mean that we would have to double dip like the NBA would and say, well, you're going to have my 24th, my 25th, my 26th, my 27th,
yeah, well,
and 28th.
They need to bring him back
first,
too,
second, fourth, fifth, and round pick in order to exchange Whelan for another.
Well, maybe you're right. You're saying
Russian
we'll have to give up. Well, that's the other part, and is that the fact that we gave up somebody who was such a criminal I mean, again, so we gave up somebody who was such a criminal, involved in major criminal trafficking, major for just to get Brittney Griner. That's so
Well,
we
think
like
about
that.
it
So
like this. Put this in context. The war in Ukraine is still going on.
yeah,
You are now getting an arms dealer, somebody guy who deals with air-to-air missiles, ground-to-air missiles, machine guns, AK-47s. The list goes on and on
I
and on.
don't know.
AR-12.
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying. I'm
Putin's
just saying.
putting him to use.
Well, no. The fact is that he's going back to Russia, and the powers that be are utilizing his services and his networking, and within his network is going to do exactly what they want him to do, which is their dirty work for arms. So
how do you know? Maybe he'll be out of the game. He's been.
But you think he's going to be walking on the street making popcorn for the Ukrainians? I mean, come on, man.
I mean,
let's be realistic.
I think no. I think he could be. He could be. Let the other people. I just was in. He still was in a maximum security prison in Illinois for 11 years of his 25. He got up, but he just served 11 years. So I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. I have no idea. Obviously, maybe he's absolutely just. I don't know again what the appetite for his skill set and his services are. Okay.
Well, the services for Brittney Griner and her ability to be back here in the U.S. could very well outweigh what Bout's abilities would be in the hands of the Russian government. We can speculate all day long, right? This could be a Bout in a box. You twist a little knob on the side, and here comes Bout. He's a Bout in your face.
His name is Bout.
Bout.
It's pronounced B-O-U-T, but it's pronounced like boot, like your B-O-O-T. Yes, continue.
Victor Bout. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, the fact is that Brittney Griner is now free. She's home. Will she make any type of amends?
With who?
Thankfulness. Is she going to feel any type of, now I'm an honored American? Is she expecting an award given to her?
Well, that's the thing. That's what everybody's saying. That's a great point. Rude Dog is no. She should not, no matter what, whether she got a break, she didn't get a break, whether she got what, she should not be made out to be a hero for this. Her country took care of her, but she should not be. Yes, the WNBA will celebrate her. They want. She's not. As I said. Okay, there's levels. There's a continuum. She's not. She doesn't belong in jail for 9 years. But she knew what she did, and she did something stupid. So you can't sit here and celebrate her like welcome back. It's going to happen anyway. But she didn't do anything heroic. All she did was break the law over there. It's her country that really,
went to bat for her, but Wheeler's still there.
Yes, right. So if there's at WNBA, and the other question is, I want to hit on one other thing before we sign off. There is rumors that, just with the war, that American, and I'm on a thread with some friends, a texting thread, and when this was all going on, I said, you're going to see less and less American athletes now after Griner are going to play professional sports in Russia. And because I think there will, because there'll be there will be there's a fear of what's going on. Obviously there's a war, but people shot back, they get paid 4 times, whatever, to play over there, basketball or whatever, that don't think it's going to be so, if you're an athlete or whatever, I think they make more playing in Russia than they do in the WNBA. I'm not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure that what's going to happen, some of it's not just because of Brittney Griner, some of it's because basically the U.S. is in a proxy war with Russia right now. But will American athletes back away from playing professionally over there, even if it's more lucrative?
I would probably tend to say yes. Now, again, I'm going to give some more context to this. Just because the U.S. said, we're going to give you Viktor Bout to the U.S. Back to Russia in exchange for Brittney Griner doesn't mean we're on Instagram terms. We're not on Twitter terms. This isn't a Facebook, I'm going to friend you request term. This is, we're making an exchange. We're going to give you peanuts for popcorn. Enjoy yourselves. Have a merry life. And oh, by the way, we're still going to come after and get Whelan back. Now, whether or not that was part of the conversation, I can't speak to that. But I know this, is that if Brittney Griner came home for Christmas, which apparently she did, right in the nick of time, thanks to President Biden, now she'll have the ability to be around her friends, her family, WNBA family, extended family, and she gets her wife back.
And her
she
wife
gets her life back.
Her wife put on Instagram today, and it might be, if you're seeing this tomorrow or Monday, yesterday, as in Saturday, again, a plea to bring back Paul Whelan. Again, that would be nice to see if they stayed with that. They didn't just forget about that campaign. If they stayed with that, no matter how long it takes, because they know that they got a break, whatever, that they are not gonna, they're gonna champion, because she has been in his shoes, literally. You know what I'm saying? So that to me would be a nice ending to the story. And I don't know how the war factors in or not. Obviously, it's not.
Because you said it's a proxy war, I don't think it factors into anything whatsoever. There's a lot of things that the Russians want in this world, and Moscow knows that mutually arranged types of exchanges like this have been known to transpire. So it's not as if something like this, as unprecedented as Griner was in doing that exchange with Viktor Bout, getting her back, doesn't necessarily put the table in a different position trying to get Whelan back. So crossing fingers and toes, maybe he'll come back and be able to spend Christmas with his family as well.
Rude Dog, it's been good to be back with you, buddy.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
So E-Mak signing off here for the Rude Dog, the issues of sports, thoughts and prayers to Grant Wahl's family and that tragedy. Overall, we are happy that Brittney Griner is back in the United States. It's enough with the term that she served, and there are lots of complexities to both those stories, and we will see, especially the Grant Wahl story, as facts come out here, what led to his tragic death. So that's going to do things for the issues of sports. I am Evan E-Mak Makovsky for Rudy Rude Dog Reyes. We will see you on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a great night.